Hi guys, James here from Nottingham Physio again. Just here with another race recap from my race last weekend. So I actually did two last weekend. I opened up my cyclocross season at Hope Supercross Rd1&2. They were up in Bradford at a place called Wyke. So this is a little race review of how they both went. Yeah, Saturday it was getting back into the old routines from last January, since the last time I'd done a cyclocross race. So yeah, a little bit rusty, yeah, forgetting a couple of bits, but most part fairly well organised. Yeah, so first part of the day was getting on course for practice. So I usually do 3 or 4 laps of the course, depending how long the lap is. Maybe go over a couple of bits that I'm a little bit unsure which line to go. You know, try a few different lines on the trickier sections. So yeah, I did that first thing once I got out of the van. Yeah, I was feeling a little bit out of sync, possibly because I hadn't ridden my cyclocross bike since national championships in January earlier in the year. So yeah, I was a little bit yeah, not smooth, should we say. So yeah, really dial them in before the season if you want to feel sort of at one with your bikes and stuff. So going in a little bit under prepped probably, feeling fairly fit and stuff, but maybe not quite that specific cyclocross fitness that that I might need. Usually after pre-ride, I usually get a couple of hours to kill really. So usually check my bike saver, get my numbers pinned on, yeah, have a bit to eat, a little bit of carb mix or something. Yeah, and then from about 45 minutes out, I get on the rollers to start my warm-up. So what that looks like is I usually do a 10-minute steady warm-up, so just spin along, usually just on feel, so I don't know, sort of 3 to 5 out of 10, somewhere in that range. And then after 10 minutes I do a 5-minute build, so ramping up to race pace by the sort of last minute, and maybe just over. So how I do that is, well, I do have pound meter on that bike, but usually I just change into a harder gear like every minute for 5 minutes. So I do start in a moderate gear, and then after 1 minute I change into harder gear, and so on. And that usually is about right, sort of intensity increase. And then I back it off a bit, just spin lightly for a couple of minutes, and then do 2 sprints on the rollers, so it's just 5 seconds, all out, sort of super high cadence, really get activated and stuff for the explosiveness of a cross race. So, yeah, after that, it's time to get to the start line. So because I still had a few UCI points from last year, I ended up with a front row grid, so that made it handy because, yeah, start's super important on a cyclocross race. Getting into the technical sections first is an easy advantage to have, to get sort of through them cleanly. So I did manage to use my front race start and ended up getting the whole shot in the first corner on the tarmac. But yeah, I think from there I really found out where my cyclocross legs were, and I don't think they were with me at the time. Yeah, sort of from that point on, really, I did struggle to sort of keep up with the really super punchiness of the racing. Yeah, I just felt like I couldn't compete with the people I was usually around, maybe on the first few laps. Just struggling to match their speed out of the corners, and stuff like that, because I've been doing much more, focusing on more sustained sort of efforts for long periods of time. I haven't really done much specific like shorter, higher intensity stuff, so I definitely knew about it. That's pretty much after the first 3 corners. I knew it was going to be a pretty tough race for me. So realising that fairly quickly, I knew I had to recover where I could. So it was quite windy on Saturday, and Sunday in fact, but so that made it really key on a few straights that there were, just for me to tuck in, so I could recover as best as I could to then hang on to the group coming out of the corners. I did do quite a bit of wheel sucking on Saturday and Sunday, it's just racing really, but I would have preferred to been feeling strong, able to push on some of those sections maybe, but I just didn't have the legs on Saturday. Most of the race I was sort of in a group of 3 or 4, and then coming into the final laps, made the best of what I had and tried to position myself in front on the technical sections, to finish best I could really. Ended up coming in 18th, which I was somewhat disappointed about maybe, but sort of reflecting back, it's probably about where I was in regards to how much preparation and stuff I've done in the lead up to this. Hoping to improve the day after, so made sure to refuel, get that in quick and get on my rollers quickly, have a proper warm down, and try best to get the recovery going for the next race the following day. So Sunday started much the same really, apart from it was actually raining, which I was quite pleased about, I think, because I was hoping the rain might slow the course down a little bit and make it a little bit more of a sustained effort and less off on super fast racing. So I think I was pretty pleased about that. Although it did rain, it wasn't muddy, it just made it a little bit more greasy around the corners. I feel like I needed it to change a little bit from yesterday if I was going to make any sort of improvement. So coming into it on Sunday, I felt pretty well recovered. I was a little bit sore from the day before, but it was a hard race, so started the day off like usual, did my course practice, and I was actually feeling a bit more sort of in tune with my bike and stuff like that, so felt like I was feeling pretty good, so that was I was looking forward to getting going really. The rain made it a little bit more slippy, but it wasn't like deep mud. It was just like the odd corner that had a bit less traction on it, and they changed the course a little bit from the day before, so I felt like I was feeling good. I knew I probably wouldn't have gained that sort of punch overnight from the day before, so did a good warm up, and then ended up on the front row again. So still those UCI points from last season doing me sort of good service. So on the Sunday I didn't get off to quite such a great start. Bit slow out the blocks, and just getting swamped a tiny bit before the first corner. Once it got going a bit, I managed to make up a couple of places back, but I probably came into the first corner sort of 10th position, something like that. So that did make quite a big difference from the day before, whereas where I'd got through the first technical bit quite cleanly, it was a bit more of a fight for position going through the first off-camber section. coming out, I think a similar sort of position, 12 to 15, something like that. And yeah, it was apparent again that I wasn't on, didn't have great legs for the sort of punchy cyclocross effort. So it was a similar story to the day before, the best of what I had, and yeah, it was back to using the other riders on the headwind sections to recover, and then hanging on best as I could on the rest of the course. Pushing myself as best I could into the technical sections, sort of make it easiest as I could for myself on the way, yeah, accelerating out the corners by being towards the front of the group. Yeah, but as the race went on, yeah, I didn't feel any better, but I didn't feel any worse either, so I dropped after the first couple of laps. Yeah, and I did try and make a little bit of a move on about 2-3 laps ago. I went to the front and just sort of started to squeeze on the pace a little bit. But that was actually quite short-lived, because leading through one of the technical sort of off-camber sections, I made a little bit of a mistake with my line choice where I'd previously ridden before, and I got a little bit wrong, so I had to put my foot down and hop off. But as I hopped off, my feet slipped away from me, and I went down. And the few riders I was with managed to get past, and yeah, ended up getting away from me, and I didn't manage to pull them back before the end of the race. So yeah, I ended up coming in 20th place, so a little bit worse than the day before, but yeah, near and around the same really. Still in the prize money, but yeah, only enough to cover the entry fee from that weekend. But yeah, on reflection, probably about where I was. It was the little race recap of my first cyclocross races. I haven't actually got many cyclocross races coming up till November really. Got 2 bigger gravel races coming up, and then I'm going to have a bit of a break before I start the rest of my cyclocross season. So I was kind of hoping to pick a few UCI points over the weekend. It wasn't to be, so yeah, but it wasn't a wasted trip. Like yeah, I think it's useful to know where I was lacking and where I can sort of start to focus my training and stuff when I get a bit more into specific cross prep. Yeah, it was good to be pushed a little bit and not quite go my way. Yeah, so I mean, and I think it was a decent tune-up as well for the gravel races coming up, as I'm doing Gravel World Series in Ruthin next weekend. And 2 weeks after that, I'm going to Gravel World Championships in Belgium. So those 2 are definitely going to have a bit of punch to them. So I think 2 days last weekend doing some sharp accelerations and stuff is hopefully going to set me up fairly decently to hang in the groups and stuff, especially in Belgium, where it's likely to be quite a flat course and plenty of corners and stuff like that. So yeah, all in all. So thanks for watching, everyone. If you've got any questions about training or any advice you want for any of your races coming up, leave them in the comments below and try to get back to you. If you're interested in any coaching at all, or want to find out a little bit more about what we do, follow the link to our website in the description below, and or drop us an email. Yeah, and we'll try to get back to you on your questions and see how we can help you move forward. Yeah, but thanks for watching again. I'll see you in the next one. Cheers.